Evening, everyone. As Dr. Lacey says, let everybody know the Levites are gathering. Great evening. Today is a great day. Not that every day isn't a great day, but today is a great day where we have made history. Welcome to Leviticus's LTAI. Let's talk about it session. I am Elder Robinette Cross, and today we are going to be talking about the changing of the guards, the inauguration of 2021. As you know, usually in a monarchy, monarchical rule is that there is a shift, a changing of the guards, a changing of reigns. And so for us, that's the changing of one presidency to another. So today we witness history being made in the changing of the guards to our first woman vice president, our first African American or African diasporic president, Indian diasporic president, vice president. And so this is a monumental day where we see the inauguration of the 46th president of these United States of America and the ticket of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. and Kamala Harris. I had to throw that in, that middle name. That middle name is what gave the grace. Nevertheless, so tonight we're going to talk about how monumental these moments are, the fact that we have the great honor of being able to live in this moment in history. We have actually lived through major historical moments. The first president of African descent, the first vice president, woman vice president. This is a great day, not only for this nation, but for the world. Please feel free to interact with us in our chat box if you're on Zoom. And also in the comments in Facebook, and then we will field your questions into our Zoom platform. I want to introduce our panelists, please, and thank you. Our first panelist is our very own Deacon Carlton Duggar. Hey, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Our second panelist is, and Deacon Carlton is here in Richmond, Virginia with us. New resident from the DMV, well, the DM Northern V area. There we go, because we're still in Virginia. Elder Maurice, who's hailing all the way from Las Vegas. And our very own administrative strong arm sister, Christine. Welcome, welcome.
I was just saying hello to everyone.
Hello. Elder Brandon, as you know, our minister of music and one of the members of the core of Leviticus, he is coming on shortly, but I wanted to take a moment for you all to meet our panelists. And now let's jump into it, shall we? So the first question is going to go to Deacon Carlton. Deacon Carlton, I just want to give, and anyone else can feel free to answer as well, but I just want to give some dates and some years to think about the magnitude of the moment of today. Officially, by 12 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, we had history made effectively. So this moment marks 158 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, because the Emancipation Proclamation was actually in 1863 and not 1865. So it was 156 years since the end of the Civil War, 100 years since the beginning of women's suffrage, 67 years from Brown versus Board of Education, 47 years since the March from Selma to Montgomery, 12 years since the election of the first president of African descent. How are you feeling about today, and what is this moment for you?
Well, I will sum it up like this. I would say today is monumental for women all across the globe. Just to see this type of history being made, and then, just for it to be able to come from an HBCU, and for her to represent AKA, and coming from Howard, the same city I'm from, DC. So this is a monumental day for women in history, because it shows that beside every great man, there's a great woman. You can't say she's behind you, she's beside you. So she now holds the highest office as a woman in America. So she's right up under the president. So this is like monumental for her to be able to hold this office. So I think it's just an amazing time in history right now. And you all have so much to be proud about. If you're a woman, never second guess yourself, never second guess who you are. This is a powerful moment. So know who you are and whose you are and who you belong to. So that's how I see it.
That is phenomenal. I couldn't agree more. I had to put myself on mute. I typically have visceral reactions when you all get this, as Apostle say, I feel it in my shanana. So I had to put myself on mute because I get so excited about the magnitude of this moment. I woke up so excited, singing all kinds of AKA hymns. It was wonderful. All kinds of Negro spirituals in the shower. It was just great. Been waiting to this moment. I've been playing half the day. Wonderful. Does anybody else, and thank you, Deacon Carter, does anybody else want to add to the magnitude of this moment, what it means for you? And welcome, Elder Brandon.
Hello.
I'll speak. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
All right. How you?
So, for me, it was just a awesome moment just to be a woman, just to be Black, just to attend an HBCU as Camilla Harris. I think so many ceilings was smashed today. Just from a professional legacy. And I proudly wore my pearls today just to represent. And so many people, I was on Facebook today, and so many elderly people could not believe this moment. I wish my grandmother was actually here to see this moment, but bless her soul, she's in heaven. But it's just a moment that so many people from her time, she was 92 when she passed away, they just don't believe that this actual moment is happening.
That's really good. This moment where you thought it was so far removed, but I mean that's one of the reasons why I went down the chronology for us. We're so close to so many moments. We are only 67 years removed from integration. We are 40. We're less than 50 years removed from a civil rights era. And now, not only have we had the first president of African descent, but now we have the first female vice president of both African and East Asian descent. This is a great day to be a woman, to be a person, to be a humanist. There's a different heartbeat. It doesn't have to, you don't have to get, heart palpitations. There's a different heartbeat in the White House because there's something different that women bring to the table. And we want to celebrate Biden, but we all know whose moment this is in real life. So Elder Maurice and Elder Brandon, just to recap, we're talking about what is the magnitude of this moment today for you as a panelist. So you can feel free to, either one of you can feel free to add to that.
Yes. Shout out to Carlton, shout out to Christina, Brandon, Robinette. So glad to be welcomed onto this panel. So glad to be amongst Leviticus family. Richmond, Virginia, always representing out here. Just want to say, I'm just glad that a lot of unveiling of truth is starting to happen as far as what United States of America is supposed to look like, especially in places of government and places of leadership. So for me, just to witness, like even how President Biden has chosen his cabinet of different ethical backgrounds, races, male, female, and and everything. You don't agree with everything as being a believer and what the Bible says. So I know that's a kind of a conflict, but just say, race has always been a big thing when it comes to living in America. And we're still facing it, still, striving to overcome, still having to face for certain things every day as a Black man. Just a day-to-day type thing. But to watch what happened today, to see a Black woman, someone that looks like you, that represents your community, to see other ethics of background, to be able to come into the cabinet of leadership, to see what they did in Georgia, for the Black minister at Ebenezer Baptist Church, to be able to become what he became. Like, to see these things happening in leadership, it really, gives us hope. It really gives us hope, and it really gives us just something to smile about. And a lot of times that's all we want to do, is just smile and be happy, about when we turn the TV on, or we look in Congress and we just don't see one. We don't just see the white race just dominating everything, as far as making choices for the people, because we're all not just one race, but we have people representing all races. That it seems like that peoples are starting to open their eyes and open up their hearts, to we're the United States. We're supposed to be united. You know what I'm saying? People from all backgrounds, all creeds, immigrants, everybody. If we're here together, we're here together. So to see a Black woman, and to see other ethics backgrounds to come together today is, very monumental, and something I never forget. So I just thank God I was able to, watch that today. So, yeah.
All right, now time to again, good evening to all the panelists. Today was definitely a day. When I was on my calls for my business or talking to people, they would greet me with happy inauguration day or oh happy day. People are just excited. It's kind of like the scripture, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. I guess just a change of feeling like, okay, America is moving back towards caring about people and equality and those things, because of course the people have been groaning for a while. And just to see the change and the elevation of of the woman is amazing. It's one thing to hear, of course, as believers and people of God, we operate by faith, but sometimes the world, they need to see a sign. And so I think Madam Vice President is that sign, is that inspiration to a lot of people across the world, just like Obama was. And I just feel like we're living in a time, I feel like we're so fortunate. I just feel like we are just reaping the harvest of so many that have come before us.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the Bible where so many people labored and but they still didn't see the harvest. So they still didn't reach that promised land or things like that. But we are literally sitting on hard work, sweat and tears, and so it just motivates me anyway, and I feel like it should motivate everybody to do more and to be more, because when you really think about it, I'm like, man, what more can we do? I mean, these people, just to be able to do simple things like vote, and when you think about just the progress, years ago we couldn't vote, let alone be the president or the vice president, speaking of African Americans. But like I said, today I think was just a day of rejoicing for a lot of people. I think that, of course, you have some people, that would have liked to see the same, leadership. But, like I said, overall, I just think this is a good day for a lot of people.
Agreed and well said. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great day for a lot of people. Last Friday was J15, which is it not only was the birthday of Dr. King, but it's also Founders Day for those of us who are members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And so, just, I can't help it. Today's a great day. It's a great day to be an AKA. Yes, it is. But our sorority sister, Madam Vice President, she wanted to have a special time with her sorority sisters for that day. So we were able to have sweet moments with her as a sorority to celebrate this moment with her. And one of the things that her line sisters, her co-initiates, asked her was, did you ever think that you would become the first female vice president of these United States? And her response was, people have these hopes you can hope, and you hope that one day something's going to happen. You know that one day something is going to change, but never do you really think that you are going to be that agent of change. And so it is, just to know that she is having such an overwhelming experience, and the way that she's able to carry it with such grace, and still she and President Biden being celebrated in the way that they are being celebrated, that this is a time where they're reaching across the aisles. Even you saw on Inauguration Day, former Vice President Pence was there to celebrate them. And so this is something that, in such a divided democracy, this was a bipartisan moment for celebration. And it seemed like it was the beginning of what could be an olive branch on how to move forward as a nation, because we are not doing things the way that we were. Never before have we had not only COVID conditions, but never before have we had a female second in command. So it's not like it was before. This is not the same. And so what it's going to look like, and the amount of force that she's going to have of support behind her, is something she's not to say that President Obama didn't have the support, but she embodies so many people, so many categories, that if you are a woman, it's like it behooves you to support her. She's a first for all of us. If you are a person of color, it behooves you to support us. She's a first for all of us in that position. And if you're, and she celebrates for all of us. So I see her, in my opinion, as someone who is carrying the heartbeat of this nation into a new era. And so it's great to behold, but she never thought that that she was going to be the one, So let's transition to the power of the HBCU. Because, to be honest, before we started to see Vice President Harris on the ticket, then a lot of HBCUs were, some of them were on the brink of financial disarray, because of COVID. Numbers had dropped, tuition was being modified, professors were being furloughed, and then suddenly, in the middle of COVID, and as she rose on the ticket, there were these enormous financial donations that started to push into HBCUs, and not just the typical HBCUs, but those that were kind of flying under the radar. So there were millions of dollars, literally, in charitable donations that started to go to HBCUs because of people like Vice President Harris and my Spelman sister, Stacey Abrams. And because of, all of these leaders from HBCUs, we can give, as someone who graduated from an HBCU, I feel proud. But how have, other than Elder Brandon, I know Elder Brandon went to one. Has anybody else on the panel gone to an HBCU?
Yes, I attended Virginia State University.
Bravo. Okay, the Virginia State University. You have a great alumni chapter. Excellent alumni chapter.
And of course, Elizabeth City State University, Vikings.
I love it. And now there's so many people who did not attend HBCUs who said, "Lord, I wish I had that experience." I'm telling you, there is a certain kind of camaraderie that comes out of the power of the HBCU, and it really helped to forge the success of Madam Vice President. And so when you are hearing about that, about the almost the rebound of some HBCUs, not that we weren't great to begin with, but the recovery of the HBCUs, how does that make you feel? So let's direct that question. Anybody who wants to answer.
Well, I'll answer first. I didn't attend an HBCU. I went to like a little computer college or whatever. But anyway, nonetheless, what I will say is this. I read something the other day where a guy posted something, and he said, for those of you all that think that HBCUs aren't effective, he said, we have a Madam Vice President, and we now have a Black senator in Georgia. So he said, HBCUs are very much effective. And I'm gonna share this with you real quick, because my wife showed this to me today while we were coming back from Costco. And so she said, baby, look at this. And this day was so monumental that she showed me there were little Black girls standing next to their TVs, holding up their right hand along with her as she was saying, being inaugurated in to the office. That was a big dream where they could see, hey, I may have this opportunity one day. So that was such a profound moment that it affected young girls so much that they could stand next to their TV and say, Mommy, I'm going to say this with her, because who knows, maybe one day I'll have that opportunity. So God continue to bless the HBCUs. I pray that it's overwhelmed with funding, and that it's more dynamic, great people that come from the HBCUs.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Yes. Anybody else? Thank you, Deacon Carlton. I second and third that one. Yes. Anybody else want to add?
I wanted to say, I was just sitting there just thinking about the Black woman in general. And I just think it's just a prominent time for the Black woman to get their just due. I was thinking about just Black women in my life that have inspired me over the years. And I know for me as a man, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for my mom, if it wasn't for certain spiritual leaders that I had that I served under in the past years, my aunts, my grandma, I'm just sitting there just thinking about all these prominent Black women that influenced me in my life, that made me the man that I am, to help me mold the heart and the mindset that I have. And to think and to now see, just the leadership, them just taking up charge, and even the women of Leviticus. Like, if all the men would be honest with themselves, they would know, and know that there would be no Leviticus without the women of Leviticus, to keep the machine going, So I just thank God for what's happening now for women all over the world, especially women of color. And I just cheer you on. I'm your biggest cheerleader. And I just thank God I'm able to see this. And the funding, thank God for the funding that came in, that is still coming. I pray that it continues to pour in, because schooling and I just thank God for what God is renewing me with, because I truly believe that I don't know if I'm going to HBCU, but I truly believe that schooling is in my future, because I'm a tradesman at heart. I did serve my country. I did serve in the United States Navy. But at the same time, I do truly believe in getting a degree and having that paper behind you. My wife, she's big on that. So I know that's in my future. It's coming up soon. So I just thank God for all the funding. But I just wanted to say that piece. Just thankful for all the women in my life. And I know that even just one more thing, my mom, like I think about my mom and how she used to run the household. It was my father, myself, and 3 other boys, and she's the only woman in the house. So and women, y'all know what it takes to run a household, and she's got 4 men in the house, and it's just her and by herself. And I'm like, moms did everything. She did everything, and it's time for the women to get their just due. And I just thank God I'm able to see.
So I'll speak. So a lot of people overlook HBCUs, but I had the best experience of my life attending an HBCU, from the sports, the football games, the basketball games, to the sororities and the fraternities stepping on campus, to just different functions going on at school. It was the best experience of my life. I don't think a lot of people know that Martin Luther King actually attended a HBCU. I think he attended Clark Atlanta University.
Morehouse College?
Okay. Morehouse, I'm sorry. The late John Lewis, he attended Fisk University. Thurgood Marshall also attended a HBCU. So we have a lot of phenomenal people who attended HBCUs.
Yes, and I'll chime in too. Of course, one of the best experiences that I've had was blessed to attend HBCU, which again, I know that it instilled in me the characteristics that I carry with me today. I mean, from my professors that poured into me, even outside of the classroom, you know, they always went that extra mile. You know, you could tell that there was an extra push, an extra sense of care. Um, so, you know, I love HBCUs. I'm a product of an HBCU. I think there's nothing better, you know, in higher education. And I just thank God that people are funding and supporting it. You know, I just think of the scripture that says, the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. You know, this is the day that, you know, a lot is coming to the forefront and there's change happening. I think of Rosa Parks, who had to sit in the back of the bus. But today, you know, we have a first lady, Madam Vice President. So it just goes to show that, you know, change is on the horizon. So.
Amen. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Y'all gonna make me shout. I agree and wholeheartedly. And I also think so. I'm a big proponent of HBCUs because it builds a character in you that no other place in the world can build.
Mm-hmm.
And as a brown child Elder Brandon, I don't even call you just Brandon. Elder Brandon, you know, you know that we were in special program when we were in high school, even though that high school was a predominantly African American high school. The program was not predominantly African American.
Mm.
So nevertheless, you know, especially when you're labeled as like a gifted child, it is my recommendation that you send your children to HBCUs. Please do it, because if you have a child that is a gifted child of color in the African diaspora in this country, it will build character. It makes them feel safe. Because when you look around, if you're labeled as gifted and you're the only person who looks like you feel smart and isolated. So you know what I mean? So it brings out a strength in you. And I was blessed enough to go to Spelman. And that was a whole different sisterhood that I was able to build. There is nothing like a Spelman woman. And Spelman, the slogan is, we made a change to change the world. So we made a decision to change the world. And that's essentially what you do. They teach you how to be strong, how to be bright, how to be able to discuss, how to be able to orate, how to be able to stand firm in who you are. And that is a strength, that is an ancestral strength, that when you come out of an HBCU, nobody can take that strength away from you. It's something that you don't necessarily go in with, but you come out with it. And you walk tall because you went there. And so I think everyone would who went to an HBCU would recommend that that's the first place that you should send your child. And then they can go, if they want to have a master's degree or a PhD. I went to a PWI for my second degrees and stuff. But the grounding that I have to not be afraid of my own intellect came from an HBCU. So that's just my little 2 cent, 10 cent, half dollar, you know. So yes, I love that HBCUs are being funded. And now when we see that, and also the power of Greek life. So I know that we have, and so I saw Elder Jamila is on here. I don't know if Elder Masika is on yet, but we definitely have some Divine Nine members here at Leviticus. I know you can at least, if you were, at an HBCU, you know about the D9 and the National Panhellenic Council, the importance of, or the strength of Greek life. So Dr. King, as he went to, only reason why I said Morehouse the way I did, Christine, is because Spelman is right across the parking lot from Morehouse. Oh, wow. And so it's a big deal. And Dr. King's legacies are at Spelman and at Morehouse. His sister taught at Spelman she just retired like 5 years ago. And so it's a lineage. And so it's kind of ingrained in us to like immediately say Spelman and Morehouse. But when you are thinking of what you want to see happen, when you're thinking of what you want to see happen, I'll pivot to that. What you want to see happen with this administration, now that the guards have been changed, when you think about what you want to see happen, especially in the first 100 days, what is it that you want to see from this administration? And then we'll go to Greek life.
I guess I'll say more transparency, because with the previous administration, some things that were going on were kind of left hidden. There were blames that were placed on other institutions, other countries, and there wasn't no real responsibility taken for actions that were taking place. So I would like to see more transparency with us about what's going on with the country, more funding to the Black community, because it seems like no matter who's president, year after year, 4 years, 8 years, whenever it's done, we're sitting back like, okay, what did the Black people get out of the deal? We still are living in projects. We still aren't receiving the funding. We still are being harassed by the police. How are things going to change for the Black community? And, what's the initiative going forward to make those changes for us? So that would be my view on it, how I would view it as far as being more transparent with us, from our background.
The desire for transparency.
I kind of agree pretty much with what Carlton said, especially on the points of the Black community. President Biden did say before he got in that he owed the Black community. That's what he said. He came out and said he owed the Black community everything, because we came out in big numbers and all that great stuff. Sounds good, sounds great, but we want to hold you to what you're saying. If you say you're gonna do all this for the Black community, let's see you do it. Let's see you get behind us. Let's see you. We hold you to your word, pretty much. Accountability, ownership. Yep. That's what we want to see. And that's all we want. We've been fighting to be equal for forever. We just want what's ours, pretty much. Want what's ours. We ain't waiting on nobody to give it to us. But at the same time, when you look at us, do you see a human being? Do you see a human being? Do you see a person? Are we on the same level as you? So that's my take on it, pretty much.
All right. If what I would like to see from this leadership, a few things. Just I would say, integrity, care, and concern for the common man. I just feel like, we are in a pandemic, so lives have been affected, lives have been lost. So one thing I'm hearing from the new leaders is really tackling this pandemic. So I would love to see great care and concern put into ending the pandemic, which I feel like, they said that they're going to do. And not downplaying it so much. I think formerly it was kind of downplayed a little bit. And just care and concern, like, again, for everybody. I think sometimes when certain movements would happen, it was overlooked. And then when other movements happened, it was, for example, Black Lives Matter, you had a lot of, pushback from the White House. But then, of course, 2 weeks ago, you didn't really hear anything at all. But so I would just say, equality, care and concern, and like everybody's saying, follow through. If you say, do what you say what you do. So that would be what I would like to see.
Thank you so much. Sister Christine, you want to chime in?
Yeah, so I agree with all the panelists. I actually like Biden to really tackle this COVID-19, because like they said, a lot of people are losing their lives. A lot of people are unemployed. So I hope that that's really his number one agenda. I would also like for him to go back and look at some of the policies that Trump put in place. and dive deeper in those policies and reverse some of those policies that he put in place. I would just like equality for everyone, unity for everyone. Trump, to me, discriminated against a lot of races, the Muslim races, the Hispanic races. So I would just like to see unity, like everybody get treated equally.
Now I saw someone type this too. Now I was blessed, and didn't have student loans, but I mean, they're saying, wiping away the student loan. I mean, I know that'll get a lot of people shopping across the nation. We'll see about that. But I guess everybody would like to see the student loans go away.
I know they would. And then it's, the question is, are you talking about just because when he proposed the settling of student loan debt, it wasn't very clear if it would just be federal student loans or private student loans. And a lot of people have private student loans, and those loan interest rates are exponentially greater than a federal student loan. And plus the period of deferral is much less. There's not as much grace granted. And so the question then becomes, can you enforce that with a private lender? So those are a lot of, kind of questions that they're going to have to start peeling through as well. These are great expectations that they set. And I do believe that a lot of the things that they set out to do within the first 100 days are possible. I do think that because they've been working behind the scenes in preparation for the first 100 days. And I do believe that with Madam Vice President, she is going to make sure that she holds Mr. President accountable to some of the promises that he made to minority communities in general, because he made promises. Everybody knows that African-American voter turnout was one of the main reasons why there is the current president and vice president. That Greek participation, that HBCU participation. There is a real reason why he says he owes a debt of gratitude to African Americans, because he does. And so on that, I hear what you're saying, that a lot of times brown people in general, especially African Americans, feel prostituted almost. It feels like people pull on our heartstrings and say what they're going to do for us and say, thanks so much for putting me in office. And then they put like a person here or a person there. And suddenly at the end of the administration, then we're back at a position where it says, well, what happened? What is this whirlwind? And what happened to education? Our communities are still underfunded. We still don't have enough entrepreneurship. We still have to talk, we're still having to have conversations with state officials to say that there needs to be a more equitable approach to the dissemination of finances. What is that going to look like under this new administration? That might not be easy to tackle within the first 100 days, but certainly within the first 4 years, within the first term of office, then that's something that they can aspire to for sure. So thank you for saying that. I do think that that's one of the reasons why Madam Vice President is where she is, because she can say, wait a minute now, Joe, don't forget, and wherever you look, you're going to find a Stacey Abrams. Don't forget who turned Georgia blue for you. Georgia's on my mind.
That's
right. Hold there. So I think that he has constant reminders, around him. And I also think that because he has a heart for, this is just my personal observation, because he lost his son, Bo, to cancer, there's a different heart of compassion for families losing loved ones, and that he really is eager to see some recompense for that. That's just my heart. And he served in a challenging position before. He was the Vice President of the United States of America for 8 years. So he understands the weight of the office, whereas the previous administration could not really fathom that weight and started thinking before they took the oath of office. And so this is a great opportunity, not only to rebound, but to soar back to the leading country, the leading nation in this world, not just financially, but also in a demonstration of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I just want to make sure I summed up what you said in a good way.
Can I piggyback off of something you were saying?
Yeah.
You were talking about how Black people were powerful enough to come together to change the vote in Georgia. And, there's a scripture that says, my people perish due to a lack of knowledge. if Black people understood just how powerful we are and we came together like one giant fist, there are so many things that we can knock down as a people. I just heard a speech the other day that I didn't know about where, you know, Dr. King was talking to the people, and he simply had a plan to bring people together to spend only in our community. Back then in 68, it was $30 billion. Today, it's over $1 trillion that we make up. If we ever come together and say, hey, you know, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that, you know, you're not looking out for our community, you're not supporting us. How can we keep supporting y'all when y'all ain't supporting us?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, sometimes you may have to take a stand, even though you may not want to. You may have to take a stand somewhere just to be able to get some sort of respect as a people, because like you said, you can't be prostituted every 4 years or every 8 years where you're doing your part as a US citizen to vote and get someone in the office that's going to help the community. But then 4 to 8 years later, we're standing back in line for, you know, let's hope this change. Let's hope this works out again. But we're back to like it used to be an old show back in the day where you learned it was called Square One. You back to square one.
Mm.
So I don't know.
No, that's good. And sometimes it takes the mobilization of the community. And sometimes what that means is that you didn't necessarily have a think tank in place who knew how to mobilize. And you have to have the stamina to be able to do it. The reason why um, Stacey Abrams was so successful is because there were boots on the ground and they went knocking on doors and not just having, and I will tell you, we have voter registration events, you know, but that's like, come out to the voter registration event. It's not, I'm going to knock on your door. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to tell you what you need to fill out in order to make sure that you are a registered voter. Do you know your voting location? Do you know your district? Do you know your constituents? Do you know when your voting date is? The importance of voting in state and local elections and not just in federal elections. That kind of information only really comes out when it's time to go vote, but that's too little too late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the onus that we have to take on as a community, you know, as well. And we can't, let me just keep my opinion to myself. Anybody else want to say something? So, well, I'll keep going. So we get one thing that we can do is we can recognize that when you hear, you know, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. You know, these are things that when we're talking about man, the idea of man was not created when the Constitution was created. It took the creation of the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen in order to understand that people who are considered marginalized people had to use that as a defense mechanism. So the uphill battle began with the Declaration of Independence. Mm-hmm. And so you've been fighting for 245 years against a declaration, a national document that is put in place that is then multiplied on a state and local scale. It's hard to do that and to know how to then mobilize a community in a way that it can be effective. That's going to take mutual ownership of that. So I appreciate people like Apostle who continue to teach how to establish credit and to have revenue, and who is not stingy with what they have, with their information, with what they have, what they hold. Dr. Masika is very much like that as well. You, Brother Carlton, Elder Brandon, you are not stingy with your information. That's the thing. The thing is that our people do perish because of lack of knowledge, but who's going to share it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that becomes the question. And the onus becomes our onus to share that information. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm coming off a soapbox.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So it takes the courage of people like us, like the Leviticus, righteous, victorious, and anointed. It takes people like us to step out there and say, hey, this is what needs to be done so you can make effective decisions in your life and to be the leader that you need to be in your community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I'm so grateful at Leviticus that Pastor Lacey and Apostle make you stand in your greatness.
Mm-hmm.
They give you no way out. They give you no way around. The only way to go is through it.
Mm-hmm.
Elder Julian once said, Apostle and Pastor Lacey are not just going to take you to the edge of the cliff, they're going to throw you over. But that's the only way you know whether or not you know how to fly.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't stay on the cliff. My gosh, don't stay on the cliff.
Right now, I was thinking. I know we was talking about college, and then me being a tradesman, I just want to throw this knowledge out there. My father always told me, growing up, when I was in high school trying to figure out what I wanted to do, he always was like, if you ain't gonna go to college, get a trade. And I'm like, what are you talking about? At the time I was like, I ain't really know what he's talking about. Get a trade. And I'm like, okay. And when the time came, I decided to become a welder. And at that time, welders were making $18 and $25 an hour.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2008. That was 2008. So you can imagine now, 2020, what the trades look like, what the going rate is. So I would tell everybody on this call and anybody else that they know children that are looking to find out what they want to do with themselves and not sure yet, the next best thing is to get a trade. And if they want to pursue college education, they'll be able to fund themselves through it, and won't even have to worry about student loans or anything of that nature. Because I had a student loan when I went to trade school to become a welder, and those are paid off now, but that was years ago. But when I decided to go to school again, I'm not getting no student loan. I'm not gonna need to, thank God, But I just wanted to throw that information out there. There's so many trades out here: electricians, welders, carpenters, CDLs. You get CDLs. Is plumbers. Is you name it. Jesus was a carpenter. So hey, Paul was a tent maker. These guys had trades. They knew how to survive. They knew what they needed to do to build a community. And that's another thing too, as far as the community go, the Black community. We need to get more of our young men into the trade market. If they're not going to college, they need to go to the trades, because that'll set them up for whatever they want. I guarantee you.
Absolutely. That's so great. Actually, as a matter, I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's a really good segue into our local government. Our very own president, Dr. Ralph Northam. Who's an MD. One of the things he ran on when he was as he was running to be elected for governor, was that Virginia had a trade deficit, and that he was going to push for funding for trades. And it's not because there was no need for the skill, is that there were not enough people to fill the need for the skill. So you have these projects in the cities that have the funding available, but you don't have enough qualified people to make sure that those projects get executed. So then things look dilapidated and things look like they're left undone. And part of that reason is because there are not enough people stepping into trade positions. And that can be an exceptional segue into a better future. So I completely and wholeheartedly agree. Elder Deacon Carlton, do you want to say something about that? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
No, I was fine. I just was saying to myself that was really good that Maurice actually mentioned that, about the trade aspect, because, a lot of young people, they may be hustling in the street because they really don't know what to do. They have like an entrepreneur I'll say, an entrepreneur spirit that's inside of them. And that leadership aspect is there, but they just don't know how to get it started. So it could be a welder, electrician, or, some sort of truck driver owner that's there. But, instead they know how to slice up, cocaine or heroin or something. But, in my opinion, a lot of times, as far as what I've seen in DC, and I know this is effective everywhere, a lot of young people are doing certain things just to get attention. And what I mean by that is some of these young people don't even receive hugs at home. Wow. So just to see a young person that's on the street and that maybe hustling or something, you come up to them, hey, what's up, man? You just shake their hand and give them a hug. That means a lot to them because, they're just lacking a hug. So to be able to, get back to the point of getting a trade. So you hug them, you embrace them and say, hey, man, what you're doing, I'm not knocking what you're doing, but let me remind you that there's an entrepreneur in you. Won't you consider, like Maurice said, going to check out a trade? And who knows, they can be a dynamic welder like him. Because he's awesome. I've seen, some of the work that he's posted on Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, yo, that's my bro.
Yeah, and it's awesome. If you ask me, workforce development, if you have their available workforce development programs are literally everywhere, and there's funding for them. There's funding for you to go to school, because there's funding for the workforce development programs, and people want to tap into the workforce development programs because they're such a good segue for creative grant proposals that they put together. So it really is a nice way in to ensure that you are maximizing your skill set. Like Elder Jamila taught on second Sunday in January, what is in your hands? Your hands can put together, can fix the power lines. Your hands can put the bricks together. Your hands can put the mortar together. Your hands can be the reason why we are going up an elevator. Your hands, what's in your hands? And so to teach people how to be creative and understanding what's in their hands, I think is vital.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Robin, there are apprenticeship programs. I am currently in an apprenticeship program out here in Las Vegas right now. So when I'm an apprenticeship, I've been in, matter of fact, God gave me favor when I moved out here, and I'm not gonna go fully in detail about it. But when I do graduate, I have my journeyman license, and then the credits, because like right now I just got out of I was taking architecture last week, and all this is free. This is free apprenticeship. It's a four-year program, and I was working in the shipyard prior. So with that experience, they started me off. I think they took almost a year off of my apprenticeship because of my experience I had before. So when I came over here, I got my weld. I already knew how to weld. So I got my welding license, my welding card certifications within 3 months, which is, that's unheard of because, usually these guys, they come in, straight out of high school. They don't really have that much experience. Me having experience, God bless me. So I have probably like a year left, and all these credits I'm taking college courses right now through this apprenticeship. So I will be eligible to get my associate's degree. I'll probably take like 3 more classes or something like that at one of the community colleges out here, 3 or 4 more classes, and I will have my associate's degree, which would be a milestone for me because school wasn't my best suit. I was an athlete, and I liked school, but school wasn't my best suit at the time. So that would be a milestone for me. And I told my wife, I said, well, whatever doors God open, I'm going through them. And I believe this is a door that he put me on for a reason. So I will have my journeyman license where I can travel within the country anywhere I want to go to any union, wherever state I land, I can go to the union hall, get me a job, and just go, and they can send me to the work site, and they have to pay me the pay that that's within the union regulations and bylaws and all those good things. So if I was to, say, hey, well, Tiff, we're gonna go to Virginia for about a year or two. You know, I can just pick up, go, boom, come back to VA, go to Union Hall here, give me a job. All right, well, God said go to Texas. All right, we're going to Texas, boom, go to Texas. And I know, me being an evangelist, this is the path God has me on, as far as being able to take care of my family. But it's just so many avenues, the right way. Like my brother Carlton said, the right way. If people can't go to college, or college is awesome, but some people can't go to college. But there's so many ways that you can take care of your family and still make the money that you want to make. So it's an awesome thing. Apprenticeships are everywhere. Apprenticeships are everywhere. So you just got to check them out.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Does anybody else want to add to what Deacon Carlton and Elder Marie said?
I definitely think trade schools and programs like that are great. In my years of teaching, sometimes I was able to teach at alternative schools, and I just saw how the trade programs really empowered a lot of youth that weren't headed straight to college, and who needed something, some type of a trade to aspire to and to do something with. And so I definitely think trade is something that is needed, and I'm glad that our governor saw the need to push that, because again, everybody doesn't immediately go to college, but trades, hey, that's something that's a necessity. So
Absolutely. A necessity. I love it. That's exactly right. We would have no infrastructure if we didn't have tradesmen.
Elder Robinette, can I add to that?
Yes, come on down, Elder Jamila.
Hey, everybody. So this conversation is so vital, especially about trades. Trades give you these skills in these specific areas, and even colleges and universities are starting to catch on to it. Bowie State University, which is one of the best universities in the world, it is an HBCU. The first in the state of Maryland, since we're spitting historical facts on this historical day. I will say that they even started with an entrepreneurship degree, because the norm is that, you're telling kids, say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, but we're moving away from those types of careers. Those are always vital. But if you notice that we're moving into this new wave, this new way, W-A-Y, I say wave first and then way, entrepreneurship, those individual skills. Even when Maurice was talking, I was like, shoot, at the end of the day, he can open his own construction company with all of the certifications.
You better watch it. You better watch it.
Come on, sir. Oh, I was following, sir. And so that is where we want to inspire our young people. Why go into debt when God has called us all to have dominion and to walk into this authority? And so we don't have to, that's in the book. We can just follow the word. And so entrepreneurship is so key. And it is where we should be. I absolutely encourage young adults, when you're trying to figure it out, because that's what adolescence is for. That is what I did in school. You go, you make mistakes in a safe place. And by the time I come out, that's what Robinette was saying at HBCU. By the time you come out, you're reformed, you're polished, and you're ready to be presented in the world. But that's a safe place for you to make mistakes. But that's not the only way. And so those skill sets that you learn, even with the skills that Carlton gained while working in the warehouse and things like that, and the certifications that he got, those are skills that he can take and he can go and represent himself. He can open his own. And there are a lot of degrees that you can't do that because you're limited. You need a master's to do it, or you need another level. But those trade skills elevate you, and they give you those skills right then, those certifications right there to go out in the world and be. And so trades is kind of the new thing. It thrusts you into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Preach, baby.
She attends Highland Springs, and they have Henrico County School have this program called the ACE Center, and I think it's advanced career education. And she's interested in going to the nursing field, so she applied for a nurse aide, and she got accepted. So this will give her the experience to see if there's something that she actually wants to do, because a lot of times kids will say, I want to be a doctor, but then when you dive into it and you have to do the work, they're like, maybe this isn't for me. So with her having this experience, you know, with going to the ACE Center and taking up this class and having college courses, she's exposed to it. So she'll really get to dive in and see if that's something that she really wants to do.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Another thing, just because I know we have gone in this direction, which because it still ties into what can be offered, what can we do in this new season. And then my question is going to be, since we already talked about talked about a little bit of D9, so I want, now that the conversation is pivoting, I want the panelists, for you all to think about what can you do, or what do you commit yourself to doing to continuing the momentum. I know that we talked about what we expect from this administration, but we also talked about how collectively we need to hold ourselves accountable to the community, right?
Yeah.
So part of scripture says, for the edification of the body. To edify means to teach, right? So for the edification, what are you going to do to continue the momentum? But while you're thinking about that, I'm giving you some processing time. Then I want to say, another benefit of trades is that it's an in-reach benefit, because, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, people who are in prisons who are serving prison sentences, and they have, one, been institutionalized, but two, they have to find a way to segue from prison systems into this world, especially if you have a felony. Apostle talks about this a lot. If you have a felony, what can that look like? And that can keep you from having a job. That can keep you from gaining access. That can keep you from your voting rights, right? So what can you do with that? And trades actually are very helpful in that segue. Trades are very helpful because they don't hold you accountable for a past that you may or may not even be responsible for creating. And they give you information, education, and one of the best things that you can do if you are coming out from behind, as Elder Curtis says, behind the wall, is to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things you can do for yourself and for your community. Some state prisons have them. There are some programs. There is funding. So see what you can do if you are the entrepreneur. See what you can do to reach out to see what programs can you institute for federal prison, for state prison. What can you do to reach in to help train, and not just prisons? I know, Sister Christine, you work with juveniles, don't you?
Yes, I work in Henrico Juvenile Court.
It's a perfect opportunity to reach in to juveniles to help them understand your record can be expunged by the time you hit this year. What can I do to equip you, to give you the tools you're going to need so that you can be successful after you pass this threshold?
Right. So I have had the opportunity to work with youth who came in, that was their first time ever receiving any type of criminal charges. So I had the opportunity to explain to them, everybody makes mistakes. You can learn from this opportunity. This isn't the end of your life. You know, make sure you learn something from this opportunity. There are always consequences for the actions that you do. So it's a great opportunity for me to just pour into the youth that I work with.
Exceptional. And that's why you need believers in those positions.
Mm-hmm.
Because who's going to say it?
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to inspire? Because if believers are not in those positions, somebody's going to tell them something.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? I put it down. I hope you picked it up. Somebody's going to tell them something.
I agree. You know what? I was just getting ready to say this. Before you even show someone something, it first has to start at home. So if you're a Black man and you're in your home, the first thing you can do is be a leader in your home. Then spread that out to your community by showing leadership skills to your community. So everyone within your community, whether Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, they should know that's a Black man right there that's respected. That's a Black man that takes care of his home. That's a Black man that his children respects him. That's a Black man that's faithful with going to church. That's a Black man that loves the Lord. And so you got to have the leadership skills that first reflect God,
Mhm.
So if God is inside of us, we should be reflecting nothing but God.
Absolutely.
Back to the
Absolutely.
community, back to our homes, back to wherever we are.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off of what Robinette was saying, a lot of my peers in the construction world, they come, they're felons. They're felons, or they get out of jail, so they go to the trades, or they pick up a trade while they was in prison, or they try to get regular, I'm gonna say regular jobs, but jobs won't take them because of their background. But the trades will pick them up. So now here come little old Maurice in the trade with them. I'm able to minister to these guys. You know what I'm saying? God is like, I'm gonna put you here, I'm gonna put you there. These guys, I had a guy, quick story. I had a guy, I'll say about a year and a half ago on my job. And he just straight up told me, he said, man, I've never met anyone like you before, because I already know who I am on the inside and who I represent. But so when I get on the job, or when I come around these guys, they never experience anybody like me. Just my traits and my mannerism and the way I talk, and I don't talk like them, I don't look like them. So they're like, what's up with this guy? And then that gives me opportunity to show them who I am. And I just thank God for that. And also for me, I have to be honest with myself about the community. I need to get more involved in my community. I have to go and vote with the small votes, as far as like the small, when the presidency come around, oh, I'm gonna go vote. But we have other votes that happens throughout the year too, that we don't even pay attention to a lot of the times. I know I don't. I need to hold myself accountable, figure out with these judges and the mayors and the delegates and the people in my community, really get involved, see what these people are doing, find out what I can do community service wise, connect with some of these brothers, connect with some of these sisters, know who lives next door to me. Like we, we don't even know who lives next door to us. And you go outside, you throw up a wave, hey, how you doing? But you don't really know that person, and we as believers, we ought to know who lives next door. We ought to know who our police officers are in the community. We ought to know who the mother is that serves school lunch. Like we ought to know these things. That's what we did back in the day when we was growing up. People, we ain't that old, but we old enough. We old enough to know how it was back in the 20, 15 years ago than it is now. 15, almost 30 years ago than it is now. It's different now. And, we more digital, more virtual, we more on the go, we more quick, fast, in the hurry to get up and move. How about just, when we come in contact with people, ask how people doing. Somebody walk to the mailbox, hey, brother, how you doing? Everything going okay? We just need to do that. I need to do it more. But I do really need to get in the community and figure out what's going on. So I'm gonna hold myself accountable for that this year, definitely.
Can I piggyback off of something that Maurice said?
Absolutely.
Man, Maurice, you just said a mouthful, man, and you really just spoke my life, man, because I worked for a grocery warehouse for almost 24 years before I was just laid off. And like you said, a lot of the brothers that were there, they had been to jail. A lot of them were coming to me. I didn't know why they were coming to me, but it's because they saw the Christ in me. It had nothing to do with Carlton. It had everything to do with the Christ that was in me. So brothers were coming to me, hey, Doug, I need to talk to you, man. I never shared this with anybody, but, hey, before I went to jail, I murdered somebody. Man, this, and that. Hey man, I've been robbing some banks. They're going to eventually catch up with me. I was like, you've been robbing banks and coming to work? Yeah. Doug, man, I've been robbing banks. And sure enough, they caught up with the guy. I mean, he's pushing 2-3 Corvettes, different Corvettes to work. He had trucks, Hummer trucks. And I'm like, man, where's this guy getting all this money? He talked to me one day like, yo, hey, I've been robbing some banks. I'm like, whoa. So, but just to say, say all of that to say this, you never know what people are going through until they open this right here.
Yeah.
And then they start, confessing and talking. And the Bible says, be ready to give every man an answer for the hope that lies within you. And so, like you said, Maurice, God has purposely positioned you there in Vegas to be where you are, to minister to those people, man. And I pray that God places a hedge of protection around you and that he gives you the endurance, the courage that you need to help every brother that you minister to. Because trust me, they need it, man.
Yes, sir.
Even since my job is closed, I had a brother that reached out to me on Facebook. He said, Doug, just wanted to let you know I'm doing well. And then at the end of our conversation, you know what he said to me? Man, can you do me just one favor? I said, what's that, man? Anything. Man, can you share some scriptures with me from time to time? Because I used to like when you would share a scripture with us at the job. I said, definitely, brother.
Yeah.
Definitely. So like you said, it's just about being able to get out to the community, talk to people. My wife says, baby, I don't see how you do it. How do you remember all these people's names? We just moved to Midlothian. How do you know all of these people? And I'm just like, well, I just talked to them so much so that now a lot of the guys see me riding my bike through the neighborhood because I'm trying to get slim like you, Mo. So I've been trying to, I'm trying to exercise. So nonetheless, I've been riding my bike and stuff. Now his brother's like, hey, Carlton, let me get your number, man. I want to start riding with you. When 2021 comes around, you mind starting a little men's group so we can start riding?
And they
I'm
coming,
like,
they coming
hey,
after
yeah.
you, they coming after you. Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's like, and now I done came up with something. It has the same initials that are on your shirt, the TRM, but it's the Reconstructed Man.
Woo! Ooh.
And so that's the name that God has given me to start this group so that we can all just be able to ride together. And Elder Curtis will tell you, he and I, and then my brother-in-law, we all been working out, and they've been so much of an encouragement to me that it makes me keep going on. So it's all about building each other up, man. So like I said, I just pray that you continue to minister to those people, man, and that the Spirit of God rest all on you, man.
Yes, sir.
Continue doing what you're doing.
Amen. Thank you all for saying that. So we heard a little bit about what you all are going to do, the mantle that you're taking up, the responsibility that you're going to take up in this year. Let's continue on with Elder Brandon and Sister Christine. This is good.
Well, we definitely have a responsibility to the community. I find myself oftentimes, when people come to my place of business, we ended up talking about, family situations, or they need help, or they need guidance, or they say, hey, my child needs a mentor. What can you do? And we step in because that's what God has called us to do. We are blessed to be a blessing. That's what I've always learned, and I've always followed that. And so when it comes back to giving back to the community, even to HBCUs, offering scholarships. We started a scholarship a while ago for higher education. But not only that, I know we all get them, our HBCU alumni. We know we get those emails saying, they're going to send you that email, can you give, can you do this and that? But really, we need to step up and we need to pay it forward. Because again, we've been blessed and we've gotten that experience, but we need to reach back and look back and lend a hand. So we definitely have an obligation after we've received such a rich education and rich experience. And again, with the community, as Brother Carlton was saying, just starting with your own household and letting it expand from there. What are we talking? How are we being an example to the young generation coming up? So I would say those would be my thoughts on giving back.
That's good. Thank you, Elder. Thank you, Brother Elder.
Definitely.
Sister Christine.
Sure. So for me, I just made it a commitment this year, 2020, just to pour into each youth that I come in contact with. I know that all of them won't receive, the information that I'm giving them, but as long as I pour into them and let them know that they can make a difference, it's not the end of your life. Everybody makes mistakes. So, once we come in contact and have a conversation, they'll say, I really appreciate, everything that you poured into me. I'm going to make a difference. I made mistakes. I don't want to disappoint my parents. I want to be a model citizen. And, I just try to pour into each youth that I come in contact with.
That's so good. Matter of fact, thank you. So take a minute in the chat box, whether you're on Zoom or you're on Facebook, and just please make a note to yourself, because if you put it out there, then people are going to hold you accountable. Don't keep it to yourself, right? So what are you going to do to continue the momentum? The guards have been changed. This is a new year. This is a new era. This is a new time. What are you going to do to continue the momentum? The current administration cannot be successful without us. And we cannot be successful without the current administration. Okay? God will fight for us, sure enough. However, you want to make sure that you're praying for them. You want to make sure that you're sending them feedback. You want to make sure that you know who your senators and congressmen are. Parents, please teach your children that. Don't leave it up to the teachers, especially your children who are going to be eligible to vote in the next local election. Especially for your children who are going to be eligible to vote in the next local election. Do not leave it up to the teachers, because your children may not remember what they learned in Virginia U.S. history. Virginia U.S. history classes are in the 10th grade or the 11th grade. So when you're talking about a gov class, and it could be an international government class, then they may not remember to check out their constituents. So please make sure that your children are aware of who the constituents are, that they know how to contact a legislator, that they understand who is coming up for Senate, that they understand who is coming up for House, and that they understand where their voting location is. If you are someone who is really, really committed, like I know in Richmond, we have Miss Community Clovia, who is really committed to helping to restore rights, then make sure that you are connecting to people who are newly released, so that you can help them get about the process of restoring their rights. So the next time an important election comes around, they will be ready and they will have everything they need, ID, voter registration card, all those things, in order to get the process going. Because we are good intended, we are well intended, and we are good old Christians. But these good old Christians also have to make sure that we are fully equipped, that we are equipping our households in the spirit, and that we are equipping our community in the natural. So that would be something that I encourage you to do. Elder Jamila, do you mind if I say what you wrote? Or do you want to say?
Sure, you can say it. It's fine. I thought we were supposed to all chat, so my bad.
No, everybody. That's what I was asking for everybody. I was asking for everybody. I was going to say something. There's a everybody. Please chat. Please chat. Elder Jamila is the only one now. Thanks for following instructions. So just over the next 4 years, I commit to working with the underrepresented. Come on. I will help the foster care population, families, and those with mental health conditions. Thank you for your commitment to serve. And Elder Jamila is not one who will go back on her word. She's going to do it. And so as you see your brothers and sisters saying what they are going to do, please pray their strength. Please pray for them in that vein so that they will be successful. Thank you all so much, really, for joining us on this panel. A special thanks to all of our panelists, Deacon Carlton, Elder Maurice, Sister Christine, Elder Brandon. Thank you so much for taking the time. And for those of you who joined us on Facebook, we see you, we love you. For those who came in Zoom, thank you, we see you, and we love you. Remember to stay involved, stay active, stay vigilant, understand your rights, support our current administration. They need us like we need them. So now we're going to turn our conversation over to our administration. God bless you. God keep you. And we'll turn everything over now to Minister Kiana. Thank you so much, everybody.
Great job, panel.
Amen. Amen.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
Man, thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for coming on tonight.
to our empowerment class, our Let's Talk About It. We talked about changing the guards, inauguration 2021. We talked about our expectations for our this current administration, for our lives individually, what we're going to do for our communities. We ran across the gamut. And so we just want to thank you all for joining us. Just a few pointers before we close out. We want to encourage you to come back next week. Join us again. We will be doing Let's Talk About It next week. So join us, invite a friend, invite your family, gather around your devices, and join the conversation next week right here at 7 p.m. We also want to share with you just some of the things that we have available, some of the services we have available here at Leviticus RVA. During this time of transition, we all have experienced COVID and countless different things. If you are in need of support services, if you are in need of any counseling, or you just need someone to talk to, please visit our website at www.leviticusrva.com and click on the Leviticus Support Services tab. It will say LSS, and you can sign up for 3 free sessions with our licensed clinical counselors. We have a wonderful and absolutely phenomenal team of clinicians and social workers and counselors who can help you navigate your feelings, thoughts, and emotions during this time. Also, we want to encourage you all to participate with us in our international outreach project, Leviticus Cares. Leviticus, we care about everyone. And we have 2 phenomenal projects we're working on, Project Guatemala and Project Kenya. We're currently and throughout the year, we'll be collecting personal care items, toothbrush, toothpaste, feminine care items, eyeglasses, you name it. Keep up with our social media platforms and visit our website to find out when we will be collecting those items and the different phases. Our next phase, we are going to be collecting electronics, so gently used cell phones, tablets, laptops, anything that you have, you want to donate, or if you have a connection and they want to donate, if you have a business and you want to donate, reach out to us, contact us. Also, we have our Leviticus Training Center. Keep your eyes and ears open. We are planning a phenomenal training center that is going to train everyone from all different areas and aspects of life. So keep your eyes and your ears open on our social media platforms and our website for additional information. And as always, join us every Sunday afternoon at 12:30 p.m. for our gathering worship experience. We thank you all so much for joining us. This is also a time for giving. If you feel so led to give, now is the time to do it. We have multiple platforms. You can give on Givelify. Look for the Leviticus Church. If you have Cash App, you can give using Cash App. You can find us on PayPal, on our website as well, www.leviticusrva.com. And you can also give through mailing at 1700 East Penn Road, Richmond, Virginia, 23228. God bless you, God keep you, and we'll